From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, here is your tropical storm Isaias briefing. And this is actually a 9:30 a.m. webinar here on Sunday, August 2nd, 2020, although we're going to use our 7:30 slides from this morning. And what has changed? Well, I've got a slide for that addresses that. So here are the changes since the last briefing. So basically, we've got tropical storm watch, and that's been issued for the basically the southeast portion of the state. And we are expecting that this watch, in fact, we're certain this watch will be expanded northward later today. Our forecasters will be working on that through the course of the rest of the morning and afternoon. And then we've also issued a flash flood watch for portions of central and eastern North Carolina, and that may need to be extended as well. So those are the changes since since yesterday. The hazards are pretty much still the same: wind, flooding, rain, and tornadoes. So I think the best way for me to convey this will be here shortly, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. And since yesterday, we've increased the river flooding concern as well. So the threat level has been elevated a little bit on this slide, particularly for river flooding, because we're expecting a little bit more rain than we conveyed in yesterday's briefing. So that's been a change as well. A little bit higher rainfall totals. Obviously, the more rain, the greater the risk for river flooding. All right, so what are the details in terms of where it's at 5 o'clock there? The center of a tropical storm, and fortunately it's weakened since this time yesterday, and it's no longer a hurricane. It is tropical storm status, but it's basically east of or southeast of Cape Canaveral, and you can see its track there. It's a pretty consistent track. One thing is the track now, well, at least this forecast track anyway, takes the center basically right up the I-95 corridor after making landfall somewhere just south of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I guess if there's any kind of good news from that is that storm surge concerns, particularly on the Outer Banks, may not be as bad as they could have been, given that landfall will have occurred in South Carolina and that the track is further west. So that's good news for the perhaps for storm surge concerns. Although if you check out our briefings from our neighboring National Weather Service offices to our east at Newport and Wilmington and Wakefield, obviously they are still highlighting 1 to 3 feet, even some locations of 2 to 4 foot storm surge. So we're not out of the woods in terms of the state, in terms of storm surge, but it's not as bad as it could be if it was a track further east or a stronger storm. Okay, so the next few slides, I thought the quickest and easiest way to take you through the what, the when, and the where is a series of slides I want to show you that basically lays out the timing and the locations. And the image on the left is a forecast of wind gusts, okay? And I didn't show sustained, mainly because most of the damage occurs with gusts. Oftentimes it's hard to get sustained winds of tropical storm force, and more commonly it comes in the form of gusts with the rain bands. Okay, so I have and this is our official forecast. You can go and get this right from our webpage at weather.gov/Raleigh. This isn't a model. This is our official forecast. And on the image on the right, those graphics will show total rainfall accumulation. So it adds up. Okay, so beginning this Sunday. So I've kind of jumped ahead to 8 a.m. Monday, and you can see the rainfall you see in the image on the right is what basically will have already fallen starting now through 8 a.m. Monday. Okay, so just very light rainfall amounts across the state. All right, so let's just jump into this. So that's 11 a.m. Monday. A little breezy, but obviously, the storm center is way to our south still by 11 a.m. Monday. By 2 p.m. Monday, you can see that winds, gusts appear to be picking up off the coast of South Carolina. On the right, you see there's not a whole lot of rain that accumulated from the previous graphic. By 5 p.m. Monday, you could see things are heading downhill wind gust wise, particularly along the South Carolina coast. But on North Carolina coast, winds are picking up. so certainly it's going to start turning breezy. And then you could see 8 p.m. Monday, so we're talking tomorrow evening, 8 p.m., you could see the stronger wind gusts. And again, those wind gusts will not be across the entire area shown. Rather, they'll be found in rain bands. Okay, so you can see 8 p.m. Monday. There's 11 p.m. Monday. There's the center of the storm just east of Charleston, and the high wind gusts. By 2 a.m. Tuesday, now you could start to see, let me get my highlighter here. Now you could start to see, and unfortunately red doesn't work too well on this background image, but you could see some of these wind gusts up around 40 plus, 40, maybe 50 mile per hour wind gusts starting to approach and affect the southern portion of the I-95 corridor and the eastern portions of I-40, the southeast part of the state. Notice on the right, the rainfall amounts beginning to add up and accumulate. And you can see this here. Rainfall amounts will be approaching 3 inches already by 2 a.m. Tuesday across, the southeast portion of our forecast area and the southeast portion of the state. So then let's jump ahead to another 3 hours, and that's 2 a.m. So by 5 a.m., you could see the center of the storm is basically getting ready to move over southern Sampson County. And look at those wind gusts we have, and this is our official forecast now, keep in mind. We have wind gusts eclipsing 50 miles per hour in spots, basically the southern half of the I-95 corridor and the eastern third of I-40. And the rain we'll see by 8 a.m. Tuesday will have accumulated in excess of 3 inches, basically from Johnson County southward. And by 8 a.m., we are expecting the center of the storm to be right over Wilson. And then by 11 a.m., the center of the storm is really going to pick up speed and exit North Carolina anyway by about noon or so. And then finally, during the afternoon, look how those wind gusts really settle down and things improve during the afternoon on Tuesday. All right. So let me back up one more time, and I'll take you through this one more time. But 5 p.m. Monday, 8 p.m. Monday, 11 p.m. Monday, 2 a.m. Tuesday, that's when things really begin to go downhill and we start to see some of the wind damage. Now, like, what are we talking wind damage? We're talking a lot of trees blown down, particularly in that area there near the center, in that bands near the center. And then 5 a.m. Tuesday, pretty much all of eastern North Carolina is experiencing some pretty gusty winds. Again, this is wind gusts, not sustained. And then 8 a.m., it's just continuing, but now shifting north across the northeast part of the state, and then exiting the state during the afternoon. All right. So let's now take a look at totals through the course of the event. So taking what I just showed you and adding it all up, these are our 72-hour rainfall total amounts. So we're talking basically from, give it 30 miles, 40 miles either side of I-95. And that's where we are expecting, here's the I-95 corridor. So, basically straddling I-95, this area right here is the part of the state that's going to see the heaviest rain and the greatest risk for flash flooding. Okay, so that area I just circled, that's the part of the state that's got the greatest risk for flash flooding. Heck, you can have flash flooding all the way back to the triad. 2 inches of rain is nothing to disregard. That's a lot of rain, especially if it comes down in one area, it comes down real hard and repetitively. And I'll also point out, if we have any folks watching from the northwest part of the state, all this rain up here near Boone and the mountain area, that's associated more with a cold front. Ironically, the Outer Banks is not really getting a whole lot in the official forecast, maybe a half inch of rain. So when you add it all up here, again, pretty much the entire portion of central and eastern North Carolina is at risk for flash flooding with this event. And 4 to 5, maybe 6 inches of rain, obviously, will have an impact on the rivers, and we'll touch on that here in just a minute. Now, in terms of the wind gusts, again, if you go back and you add all this up, everything here I just showed, and you look at the 72-hour max wind gusts, this is what we are expecting in terms of the highest gusts and where they will be. So again, basically we're talking along and east of I-95. Think about basically I-95 as being the the corridor, if you will, in eastward. That's where we're expecting the greatest magnitude of wind and associated wind damage. Again, 40, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts will give you a lot of tree damage. And obviously if the trees land on homes or cars, then obviously there's subsequent damage, or across roads and roads become impassable. That's the kind of situation we're expecting here. Now, as you get into the coastal plain, there could even be a few gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. There could be a few pockets of greater concentration of down trees. Now, also point out, even as far back as the US 1 corridor, or just west of the US 1 corridor, we could see, gusts in excess of 35, maybe 40 miles per hour. So I will point out, if you basically take this line and think east of that, that's where we expect the greatest concentration of tree damage and wind damage. Even back further west, the Triad down towards Albemarle and Wadesboro, you still can probably have a couple down trees. You can still see scattered tree damage and power outage, but not in as great a number as we expect east of this line I drew on the screen. All right, so that is, and again, all this will be occurring Monday night, late tomorrow night, in the overnight hours into Tuesday morning. All right, what else do I want to show you here? Let's see. So the potential for river flooding. This is the 30%, if you will, chance of exceedance. Okay, so clearly the Neuse River and the Cape Fear River are at risk of seeing flooding, probably at least minor flooding, perhaps moderate flooding at Clayton and Smithfield. Even the Tar River, although it's not really highlighted on this graphic, but the Tar River potentially could see some near minor flooding. But we've always thought all along that there could be some minor flooding on the main stem rivers across central and eastern North Carolina. It's just now the confidence is now greater, and the risk is a little bit higher for more in the way of moderate flooding. Okay, so that's what we want to convey here. Always knew there was a flood threat, but now we're more confident, and perhaps maybe even a little bit greater magnitude of river flooding, maybe even into the moderate stage. All right, what else? Tornadoes. We don't want to forget about tornadoes. And this graphic kind of cleanly shows where we think the greatest risk for these outer rain band and even inner rain band tornadoes may be. Okay, so isolated tornadoes are possible late Monday afternoon through Tuesday morning, mainly from I-95 eastward. So that's what we'll say about tornadoes. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. That's the latest of what we could convey. So confidence is increasing, obviously. Strongest winds expected along and east of I-95. Late Monday night into Tuesday morning. 2 to 4 inches of rain is possible across all of central North Carolina, and a narrow swath of 4 to 6 along the I-95 corridors I pointed out. Isolated weak tornadoes mainly along I-95 and eastward. Flash flooding, obviously, with that heavy rain is a concern, and the wind damage, down trees, power outages can be expected, particularly east of US 1. All right, so that wraps up this morning's 9:30 webinar, and we will do another webinar with the latest information and all the updates at 5 p.m. this afternoon. So if you want to join us live, the same method you used to join us for this one, you could use that same link to join us at 5. Of course, this has been recorded. We'll upload this to YouTube, so you can share that with folks, or if you missed any of it, or if my audio may have cut out or anything like that, you can feel free and go back and listen to the YouTube. And of course, what I'll make